Rabbit, thanks so much for doing this. I know you're really busy.
Well, yeah, I really am, okay? I've got things to do, things to put in rows, my house to clean.
I realize that. I just wanted to see if you would join me. I'm doing a reading for the kids that are quarantined.
What's that?
Quarantine. They can't leave their house right now because of the virus.
Oh, viruses, nasty things, I've had them.
Yeah, so they're shut up in the house, and all they can do is sit around the house.
Sounds wonderful to me. I don't know. I like that.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that, Rabbit, but I know you're a busy man, so should we get started on the story?
What story?
Oh, the one about the time that Winnie the Pooh came to visit you and stayed for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Everybody likes that story. Fine, go ahead.
Chapter 2, in which Pooh goes visiting and gets into a tight place. Edward Bear, known to his friends as Winnie the Pooh, or Pooh for short, was walking through the forest one day, humming proudly to himself. He'd made up a little hum that very morning, as he was doing his stoutness exercises in front of the glass. Troll-a-law, troll-a-law, as he stretched up as high as he could go, and then troll-a-law, oh, help, oh, as he reached to his toes. After breakfast, he'd said it over and over to himself until he'd learned it off by heart, and now he was humming it right through properly. It went like this. Troll-a-law, 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 rum-tum, tiddly-um-tum, tiddle-liddle, 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 rum-tum-tum, tiddly-um. And while he was humming this hum to himself and walking along gaily, wondering what everyone else was doing, and what it felt like to be somebody else, when suddenly he came to a sandy bank, and in the bank was a large hole. Aha, rum-tiddly-um-tum. If I know anything about anything, that hole means rabbit. A rabbit means company, and company means food. And listen to me humming and such like rum-tiddly-um-tum. So he bent down, put his head in the hole, and called out, Is anybody at home? There was a sudden scuffling noise from inside the hole, and then silence. What I said was, Is anybody at home? Called out Pooh very loudly.
No,
said a voice, and then added,
You needn't shout so loud. I heard you quite well the first time.
Bother. Is there anybody there at all?
Nobody.
Winnie the Pooh took his head out of the hole and thought for a little, and then he thought to himself, Well, there must be somebody in, because somebody must have said nobody. So he put his head back in the hole and said, Hello, Rabbit, is that you?
No,
said Rabbit in a different sort of voice this time.
But isn't that Rabbit's voice? I don't think so. It's not meant to be.
Oh, said Pooh. He took his head out of the hole and had another think, and then he put it back and said, Well, could you kindly tell me where Rabbit is?
He's gone to see his friend Pooh Bear, who's a great friend of his.
But that's me, said the bear, very much surprised.
What sort of me?
Pooh Bear.
Are you sure?
Said Rabbit, still more surprised. Quite sure, yeah.
Oh, well, come on in, then.
So Pooh pushed and pushed and pushed his way through the hole, and at last he got in.
You were quite right,
said Rabbit, looking him over.
It is you. Glad to see you, then.
Who'd you think it was?
Well, I wasn't sure. You never can know in the forest. One can't have anybody coming into one's house. One has to be careful. What about a mouthful of something?
Pooh always liked a little something at 11 o'clock in the morning, and he was very glad to see Rabbit getting out the plates and mugs, and when Rabbit said, Honey or condensed milk with your bread? He was so excited he said, Both. But so as not to seem greedy, he added, But don't bother about the bread, would you? And after a long time, after that he said nothing, until at last, humming to himself in a rather sticky voice, he got up, shook Rabbit lovingly by the paw, and said he must be going on.
Must you?
Said the Rabbit politely.
Well, I could stay longer if... And
he tried very hard to look in the direction of the larder.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was going out myself directly.
Oh, well then, I'll be going on. Goodbye.
Well, goodbye. If you're sure you won't have any more.
Well, is there more?
Rabbit took the covers off the dishes and said,
No, there isn't. I thought not, said Pooh, nodding to himself. Well, goodbye, I must be going.
So he started to climb out of the hole, and he pulled with his front paws and pushed with his back paws, and in a little while his nose was out in the open again, then his ears, then his front paws, then his shoulders, and then...
Oh, help, said Pooh. I better go back.
Oh, bother.
I shall have to go on. I can't do either. Help and bother.
Now by this time, Rabbit wanted to go for a walk too, and finding the front door full, he went out by the back door, came around to Pooh and looked at him.
Hello, are you stuck? No. Just resting and thinking and humming to myself.
Here, give us a paw. Pooh stretched out a paw, and Rabbit pulled and pulled and pulled.
Ow!
said Pooh.
You're hurting me.
The fact is, you are stuck.
It all comes, said Pooh crossly, of not having front doors what's big enough.
It all comes of eating too much. I thought at the time, said Rabbit, only I didn't want to say anything. That one of us was eating too much, and I know it wasn't me. Well, I shall go fetch Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin lived at the other end of the forest, and when he came back with Rabbit and saw the front half of Pooh, he said,
Silly old bear,
in such a loving voice that everyone felt quite hopeful again.
I was just beginning to think that Rabbit might not ever be able to use his front door again, and I should hate that.
So should I, said Rabbit.
Use his front door again? Christopher Robin. Of course he'll use his front door again.
Good, said Rabbit.
If we can pull you out, Pooh? If we can pull you out, well then we might as well push you back in.
Rabbit scratched his whiskers thoughtfully and pointed out that once Pooh was pushed back, he was, of course... Nobody was more glad to see Pooh than he was. Still, there was. Some lived in trees, some lived underground, and...
You mean I'll never get out? Said Pooh.
I mean that having got so far, it seems a pity to waste it.
Christopher Robin nodded.
Well, there's only one thing to be done. We shall have to wait for you to get thin again.
How long does getting thin take? Said Pooh anxiously.
About a week, I should think.
I can't stay here for a week.
You can stay here all right, old bear. It's getting out which is so difficult.
I'll read to you, said Rabbit cheerfully. And I hope it won't snow. And I said, old fellow, you're taking up a good deal of room in my house. Do you mind if I use your back legs as a towel horse? Because, I mean, well, they are doing nothing. And it would be very convenient just to hang towels on them.
A week, said Pooh gloomily. What about meals? I'm afraid no meals, because of then getting thin quicker. But we'll read to you. Bear began to sigh, and then found he couldn't because he was so thickly stuck, and a tear rolled down his eye, and he said, Then would you read a sustaining book, such as would help and comfort a wedged bear in great tightness? So for a week, Christopher Robin read the sort of book at the north end of Pooh, and Rabbit hung his washing on the south end, and in between Bear found himself getting slenderer and slenderer. And at the end of the week, Christopher Robin said, Now! So he took hold of Pooh's front paws, and Rabbit took hold of Christopher Robin, and all Rabbit's friends and relations took hold of Rabbit, and they all pulled together, and after a long time, Pooh only said, Ow! And oh! And all of a sudden, he just said, Pop! As if a cork were coming out of the bottle. And Christopher Robin and Rabbit and all of friends and relations of Rabbit went head over heels backwards, and on top of them came Winnie the Pooh free. So with a nod of thanks to his friends, he went on his walk through the forest, humming proudly to himself. And Christopher Robin looked at him lovingly and said to himself, Silly old bear.